So, anybody else spend more time deciding what to play than actually playing? Because recently I'm doing exactly this thing. I- I'm serious. I will sit down after a long day thinking, tonight's the night. I'm finally gonna relax and just game. And then 45 minutes later, I am still on my PS library or in front of my gaming shelves at home. Maybe I'm watching some random trailer, staring at the I don't know, maybe even going to the PS store and check for anything new. And somehow I still end up watching YouTube instead. You know, gaming used to be simple back in the days. When I was younger, you had like three new games during the year for your birthday, for Christmas, and maybe on another occasion, if you were lucky. Now we have got, if you have the PC, or however, if you use Steam, you have Steam sales. Then there are subscription services, free games every week, every month, emulators. And so you just create your massive backlog with online games, single player games, and so on. And somehow having more choice made it harder to actually enjoy gaming. In fact, today I want to talk just about what happens when you have so many games and you can choose. Why so many gamers feel weirdly overwhelmed now. And yeah, I'm gonna give you some tips that maybe can help you because they have helped me, for example, going on with my choices about what to play. So let's get into it. First of all, I have to talk about the paradox of choice, okay? You'd think having hundreds of games will be amazing at first, right? But there's actually a psychological thing called the paradox of choice. Basically, the more option you have, the harder it becomes to choose. And this is particularly difficult, for example, for people uh, which have also maybe ADHD or other things like that. And gaming is one of the worst example of this. You open your library and suddenly your brain starts doing this weird optimization process. Should I play something competitive? Maybe I should finally finish that RPG. Wait, what if I'm not in the mood for that? Maybe I should play something productive. No, maybe relaxing. Actually, maybe I should save the game for when I have more time. Okay, and in this way, before you know it, choosing a game start feeling like choosing a career path. And the worst part, sometimes you finally pick something, and 5 minutes later you're wondering if another game would have been better. That's not gaming burnout, okay? That's decision fatigue. They are different. And honestly, modern gaming practically encourages it because you have subscription services uh, with an incredible value. But they also create this buffet effect. You stop asking, what do I want to play? And start asking, what's the best thing I could play right now? And those are completely different questions. I think part of the problem is that gaming has changed from a hobby into kind of an endless content machine. There are always new seasons, new battle passes, limited time event, game everyone suddenly talking about. A 100-hour RPG you should play, or some indie masterpiece you missed. And because of social media, it constantly feels like you are falling behind. You are not just choosing a game anymore, you are choosing what not to play. That sounds dramatic, but it's true. If I play this old game, I'm missing the new update. If I start this RPG, I won't finish my backlog. If I play multiplayer, I'm ignoring story games. And eventually, gaming starts feeling stressful, which is wild because gaming is literally supposed to be the thing that helps us de-stress. So, after dealing with this for way too long, I started experimenting with ways to make gaming feel fun again. And surprisingly, the fixes were pretty simple. Okay, the first tip, if you want to call them in this way, is having a default game. This is my tip number one. This changed everything for me. A default game is the game you play when you can't decide what to play. That's it. No overthinking, no browsing, no scrolling through hundreds of titles like you are studying for an exam. You just boot up the default game. And weirdly, having a fallback removes pressure from choosing. Your default game could be a comfort game, a multiplayer game, a roguelike, something easy to jump into for even just 20 minutes. For me, it's usually something I can instantly enjoy without commitment because maybe I practically know by heart everything in the game and still it's not boring. For example, I can play and replay hundreds of times Hogwarts Legacy, for example. I just have to boot it up and play. Because sometimes the hardest part about gaming is just starting. And once you are already playing something, your brain relaxes. And maybe then you will be able to think more clearly about what to play next. Maybe something similar to the game you are playing right now, or something completely different because you want to change completely the title. Okay? Tips number 2 is limit your options, which can sound backward, but trust me, limit your choices, seriously. Instead of looking at the entire library, create a smaller rotation, for example. Pick like, I don't know, 1 to 3 single player games. If you are into them, one multiplayer game and maybe one chill game, an indie one, an arcade one, a platform one, whatever you want. And only choose from those for the week or for the month or until you finish them all. That's into you. Okay, that's something that you have to decide. For example, uh, I've decided to choose one game per console. I have from the PS1 to the PS5, and I have also the PSP and the Nintendo DS Lite. So I've chosen one game per platform, and I'm playing those games with kind of a range choice from RPGs to arcade one to indie one and so on. So I have to choose just between what I want to play at the moment, if I have more time or if I have just 10, 20 minutes and so on. And this works because your brain handles small choices way better than massive ones. It's the same reason restaurants with giant menus are overwhelming. When you reduce the number of options, you spend less energy deciding and more energy enjoying. And honestly, you start appreciating games more instead of constantly jumping around chasing the perfect choice. Then there is the third tip, which is, in my opinion, the most important. You have to stop treating games like tasks. Stop treating games like obligations. I used to force myself to finish games because I spend money on them. Maybe because I spent already hours and hours on them. Or because everyone said they were masterpieces. But honestly, not every game is for every person, and that's okay. If a game feels like homework or a job, stop playing it. You do not owe a game 40 or 50 or more hours just because you bought it during a Steam sale, a PS Plus sale, or something else. And I don't know, back in 2020, and now it is 5, 6 years that stays in your backlog. And yes, I'm not only talking to you, I'm talking to myself, okay? Because I've done this thing more times than I wanted to admit. Sometimes gaming becomes way more enjoyable when you stop trying to optimize every second of the fun. Sometimes you just want to replay an old game for the 10th time. I don't even know how many times I've played Hogwarts Legacy or other games that I owned. Sometimes you only want to play one match of something because it's easier, it's faster. Sometimes you want to quit a game halfway though because you are not enjoying it anymore, and that's normal. The goal isn't to conquer your backlog. The goal is to enjoy your free time. So, honestly, if you have been struggling to pick what to play lately, you are definitely not alone. Modern gaming gives us unlimited choice, but our brains aren't really built for unlimited choice. And sometimes the best thing you can do is make gaming smaller again. Have a default game, limits your option, and stop turning fun into work. That's it. That's, for example, what is working for me. Because at the end of the day, the perfect game probably isn't hidden somewhere in your library. It's usually the one you actually launch. If you're related to this at all, let me know what your current default game is in the comments. And if you got your own way of dealing with gaming overload, I'd actually love to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.